Have you ever experienced someone walking away from your life only to return when you least expected it? It's a puzzling and emotional moment. Why do they come back after hurting you? Is it guilt, regret, or something more self-serving? This situation can leave you questioning their intentions and your next steps. That's where the timeless wisdom of Stoicism comes into play. Stoicism, a philosophy practiced by great minds like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, teaches us how to stay calm, rational, and grounded in the face of life's challenges. When someone returns after causing pain, Stoicism helps us understand the deeper reasons behind their actions, while also giving us the strength to protect our peace and boundaries. People come back for various reasons: guilt, fear of losing control, regret, or even the realization of your value after you've moved on. However, not all returns are genuine, and it's crucial to approach such situations with clarity and emotional detachment. As Stoics, we learn to respond with wisdom rather than react impulsively. In this video, we'll explore the top reasons why people return after hurting you, guided by Stoic principles. Whether it's a friend, partner, or anyone from your past, these insights will help you navigate such moments with confidence and composure. So, if you've ever been in this situation or want to prepare yourself for the future, keep watching. This might be the perspective shift you've been looking for. Number 1. The guilt that consumes them. When someone comes back into your life after hurting you, guilt often plays a significant role. Guilt is a powerful emotion that can weigh heavily on a person's conscience, compelling them to seek redemption or closure. In many cases, the act of hurting you may have been impulsive, selfish, or poorly thought out. Over time, as they reflect on their actions, they may begin to realize the gravity of the pain they caused you. This realization can create an inner turmoil that consumes them, forcing them to confront their own shortcomings. In Stoic philosophy, guilt is closely tied to a lack of harmony between a person's actions and their moral compass. For those who have hurt you, this disconnect can become a source of mental anguish. They may find themselves haunted by their decisions, replaying moments where they could have chosen kindness or understanding, but didn't. This inner conflict can manifest in their attempts to reconnect with you, not necessarily because they have your best interests at heart, but because they want to ease their own discomfort. It's important to recognize that when guilt drives someone to return, their intentions may not always align with your well-being. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." As a Stoic, you must discern whether their return is genuine or merely a way for them to unburden themselves. Are they taking responsibility for their actions and seeking to make amends, or are they simply looking to alleviate their own guilt without addressing the harm they caused? Furthermore, guilt can sometimes lead to manipulative behavior. They might apologize profusely or make grand gestures to win your forgiveness, not because they truly understand the depth of your pain, but because they are desperate to escape the weight of their own emotions. This is why Stoicism emphasizes the importance of remaining emotionally detached and observing their actions with clarity. Epictetus reminds us, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. When someone returns out of guilt, it's an opportunity for you to reflect on what you truly deserve. Forgiveness is a personal choice, but it doesn't mean you have to let them back into your life. Their guilt is theirs to bear, not yours to fix. You can choose to respond with grace while maintaining your boundaries. After all, Stoicism teaches us to prioritize our inner peace above all else. Ultimately, guilt may consume those who have wronged you, but it's up to you to decide whether their return is worth entertaining. Let their actions speak louder than their words, and remember that your growth and peace are far more valuable than resolving someone else's internal conflict. In doing so, you'll find strength in your own resolve and the wisdom to navigate their return without compromising your dignity. Number 2, fear of losing control over you. When someone returns after hurting you, one of the most significant drivers behind their actions may be the fear of losing control over you. This fear often stems from their realization that you are no longer under their influence, no longer orbiting their world, and no longer defined by their validation. For many, this loss of control is deeply unsettling. It's not always about love or regret. It's about maintaining their sense of dominance, importance, or relevance in your life. This fear can lead them to make desperate attempts to reconnect, hoping to regain the hold they once had on you. From a Stoic perspective, control is an illusion. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When someone fears losing control over you, it's because they've relied on your reactions, your attention, and your energy to validate their own sense of self-worth. By walking away or setting firm boundaries, you disrupt this dynamic, forcing them to confront a void in their life they can no longer fill with your presence. This fear can manifest in various behaviors. They may try to manipulate your emotions, bringing up past memories or shared experiences to re-establish a sense of connection. They might apologize and promise to change, even if their intentions are not genuine. Some might even resort to creating drama or confusion to pull you back into a cycle of emotional dependence. Their goal isn't necessarily to make amends, but to reassert their place in your life, ensuring that you remain tethered to them in some way. Understanding this fear is crucial to protecting your own peace and autonomy. Stoicism teaches us to detach from the opinions and actions of others, focusing instead on our inner strength and values. Epictetus reminds us, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When faced with someone who fears losing control over you, it's essential to remain calm, grounded, and deliberate in your responses. You are no longer the same person they once knew. You've grown stronger, wiser, and more self-reliant. The fear of losing control also reveals their own insecurities and lack of self-mastery. Rather than seeking to control you, they should be striving to control their own emotions and actions. But instead of introspection, they project their fears outward, clinging to the familiar dynamic they once shared with you. This is why it's vital to maintain firm boundaries and refuse to be drawn back into their cycle. In the end, their fear of losing control is not your responsibility. It's a reflection of their own inner turmoil, not a testament to your worth or value. By choosing to stand firm in your principles, you demonstrate true Stoic strength, resisting external influences and focusing on what you can control: your thoughts, your actions, and your peace. Remember, no one can control you unless you allow them to. Let their fear be a reminder of your freedom, not a chain that binds you. Number 3, the illusion of greener pastures fades. One of the most common reasons people return after hurting you is that the illusion of greener pastures, the belief that life would be better elsewhere, begins to fade. Initially, they might have walked away or distanced themselves, thinking there was something better waiting for them: a new relationship, a more exciting experience, or simply freedom from the responsibilities tied to you. However, over time, reality sets in, and they often discover that what they thought would be an improvement pales in comparison to what they had. The illusion of greener pastures is often fueled by discontent and impulsiveness. Many people romanticize alternatives without fully appreciating what they currently have. They fall victim to comparison, thinking that other relationships or situations are more fulfilling simply because they seem fresh or different. However, once they step into this so-called better reality, they begin to encounter challenges they hadn't anticipated. The new relationship may lack depth, the freedom may feel hollow, and the excitement may be fleeting. Slowly but surely, the glow of the greener pasture dims, leaving them longing for the comfort, loyalty, or stability they took for granted. From a Stoic perspective, this phenomenon reflects a failure to practice gratitude and mindfulness. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not indulge in dreams of having what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess." Those who chase the illusion of greener pastures often fail to see the value in the present. They underestimate what they leave behind, only to realize later that their discontentment wasn't with you or the situation, it was with themselves. When they return, it's often out of regret. They may claim to have realized how important you are or how irreplaceable your presence was in their life, but their regret is rooted in the disillusionment they feel after pursuing something that didn't fulfill them. Their return isn't necessarily about love, appreciation, or personal growth. It's a reaction to the emptiness they feel after their imagined, better life failed to materialize. For those on the receiving end of their return, it's crucial to approach this situation with clarity and wisdom. Stoicism teaches us not to base our worth on the actions or decisions of others. Epictetus reminds us, "It is not he who gives abuse or blows, who affronts, but the view we take of these things as insulting." Their departure was a reflection of their mindset, not your value. Similarly, their return is a testament to their misjudgment, not necessarily an indication of genuine change or remorse. Understanding the fading illusion of greener pastures can help you maintain perspective. It's a reminder that people often make impulsive choices only to regret them later when the fantasy collides with reality. While it's tempting to feel vindicated or sought after when they come back, it's essential to remember your own worth and whether their return aligns with the boundaries and values you've established for yourself. In the end, their illusion fading is their journey, not yours to fix. Number 4, seeking emotional validation. One of the key reasons people return after hurting you is their deep-seated need for emotional validation. Often their departure leaves a void in their lives that they struggle to fill, no matter how much they try to convince themselves otherwise. In their absence, they may encounter loneliness, insecurity, or self-doubt, leading them to seek comfort from the very person they wronged, you. This desire for validation often stems from a lack of internal emotional stability. Instead of taking responsibility for their emotions, they look to external sources, such as your forgiveness or attention, to feel whole again. When someone has hurt you, they may initially feel justified or indifferent, especially if their actions were driven by selfish motives or fleeting emotions. However, over time, they start to grapple with the consequences of their behavior. The silence or distance from you may weigh on them more than they anticipated. They begin to wonder if you still care, if you've moved on, or if their actions have irreparably damaged the relationship. These thoughts often lead to an overwhelming need for reassurance. Reassurance that they still matter to you, that they are not the bad person, and that the connection they severed can still be salvaged. Emotional validation becomes their way of coping with their inner turmoil. They may return, not necessarily because they've changed or regret their actions, but because they need you to soothe their guilt, insecurity, or fear of rejection. They may frame their return as a desire to make things right or reconnect, but in many cases, it's more about their need to feel emotionally safe again. By seeking your forgiveness or attention, they hope to reaffirm their worth and rebuild their self-image. From a Stoic perspective, this behavior underscores a failure to cultivate internal resilience. Marcus Aurelius often emphasized the importance of self-reliance, writing, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." People who rely on others for emotional validation often struggle to take control of their own feelings. They let external circumstances, like your reaction to them, define their sense of self-worth rather than finding stability within. For you, understanding this pattern can provide clarity and strength. When someone seeks emotional validation after hurting you, it's important to assess their intentions. Are they returning because they've truly reflected on their behavior and want to grow, or are they simply seeking a quick fix to alleviate their discomfort? Stoicism teaches us to prioritize logic and wisdom over emotional impulses. As Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Your reaction should be grounded in self-respect and a clear understanding of your boundaries. Ultimately, their need for emotional validation is not your responsibility to fulfill. While you may choose to forgive them or reopen the door to communication, it's important to ensure that their return aligns with your values and emotional well-being. Their search for validation can serve as a reminder to focus on your own inner peace, free from the need to validate or be validated by others. Number 5. Your growth intimidates them. One of the most profound reasons people return after hurting you is the stark realization of how much you've grown in their absence. When you prioritize your personal development, whether through emotional healing, intellectual growth, or achieving life goals, it creates a shift in the dynamic they once knew. Growth is powerful, and for those who have hurt you, it can be intimidating. They may have left believing that their actions would leave you broken or stagnant. Instead, they find you thriving, which forces them to confront their own shortcomings and the reality of losing someone who no longer depends on them for validation or support. Growth, especially the kind that emerges after pain, is transformative. When you've been hurt, you have two choices: to let the pain consume you or to use it as fuel for self-improvement. If you've chosen the latter, it radiates outward in ways others cannot ignore. People who once underestimated you may now see you in a completely different light. Your achievements, resilience, and newfound confidence challenge the narrative they had about you, and perhaps about themselves. This shift in perspective can be unsettling for those who are unprepared to face their own lack of growth. For someone who has hurt you, your progress acts as a mirror, reflecting their stagnation or regression. It reminds them of the opportunities they've wasted, the relationships they've neglected, or the emotional immaturity they still harbor. Instead of celebrating your transformation, they may feel threatened by it. Why? Because your growth signifies independence, a sign that you no longer need them in the way you once did. It disrupts the power dynamic they were comfortable with and forces them to acknowledge that you've moved on to a higher level, one that might now be out of their reach. From a Stoic perspective, growth is an essential part of life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." Stoicism teaches us to focus on becoming better versions of ourselves, regardless of what others think or do. When you commit to this path of self-improvement, you naturally leave behind people who no longer align with your values. Your growth isn't about intimidating others, but for those who remain stuck in the past, it can feel like a threat. It's important to recognize that their intimidation isn't your responsibility. People who are truly supportive will celebrate your growth and encourage your progress. Those who feel threatened may attempt to pull you back into the version of yourself they were once comfortable with. They may try to re-enter your life, not out of genuine remorse or reconciliation, but because they want to regain control or ease their insecurities by tethering you to their level. Your growth, however, is your armor. It is proof of your resilience and your commitment to living authentically. Let their intimidation serve as a reminder of how far you've come and how much you've overcome. As you continue to evolve, stay focused on your own journey and remember that the right people will grow with you, not against you. Number 6. Fear of being replaced. One of the most unsettling emotions people experience after hurting someone is the fear of being replaced. When someone leaves your life, especially on their terms, they often assume they'll remain irreplaceable. However, when they begin to see you moving forward, creating new connections, or even thriving without them, this fear can strike deeply. The idea that someone else might now occupy the space they once held, whether as a friend, partner, or significant figure, can make them desperate to reclaim their position in your life. This fear often drives their attempts to return, not out of genuine remorse, but out of self-preservation and ego. For someone who has wronged you, the fear of being replaced is rooted in their need for validation. They may have enjoyed the security of knowing you valued them or depended on them emotionally, but when they see evidence of your independence or notice you building relationships with others, it challenges their assumptions. The thought of you finding happiness or fulfillment with someone else, someone who treats you better or appreciates you more, can be unbearable to their ego. It forces them to confront a harsh reality. They are not indispensable. This fear is magnified when they observe your strength and self-sufficiency. From a Stoic perspective, personal growth and independence are crucial to living a fulfilling life. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Your journey toward freedom from their influence and the hurt they caused, can be a stark contrast to their own lack of growth. They may feel as though they're being left behind, replaced not just by others, but by your newfound sense of purpose and self-respect. The fear of being replaced can also stem from regret. When they see you thriving, they may begin to regret their actions and decisions that caused the separation in the first place. They might replay the moments they hurt you, realizing they took you for granted. In their mind, someone else stepping into your life becomes a symbol of what they've lost, a role they can no longer fulfill because of their mistakes. Instead of reflecting on their actions and taking accountability, they may focus on regaining control or seeking reassurance that they still matter to you. However, it's essential to understand that their fear of being replaced doesn't always equate to genuine care or love. It's often more about their insecurities than your well-being. They might attempt to rekindle the connection out of fear rather than true remorse or a desire to make amends. Recognizing this distinction is crucial for protecting your emotional boundaries. Your value isn't determined by whether someone fears being replaced. It lies in the strength, wisdom, and peace you've cultivated in their absence. Whether or not they choose to confront their fear and grow as a person is beyond your control. What matters most is that you continue to honor yourself, surround yourself with healthy relationships, and embrace the freedom to live life on your terms. Number 7. Regret over broken bonds. Regret is one of the heaviest burdens a person can carry, especially when it involves severed relationships and broken bonds. When someone chooses to hurt you or walk away from your life, they may do so in the heat of the moment, believing their actions are justified or that the separation will bring them some form of relief. However, as time passes and the reality of their choices sets in, regret begins to creep in like an unwelcome shadow. The realization of what they have lost, a connection built on trust, care, and shared experiences, can overwhelm them, leaving them longing to repair what was broken. This regret is often rooted in the recognition of their own failures. Perhaps they took your kindness for granted, dismissed your value, or assumed you would always be there no matter how they treated you. The bond that once felt secure may now feel like a missed opportunity they'll never have again. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." While change is inevitable, not everyone embraces it. For the person who hurt you, the severed bond is a painful reminder of what they let slip through their fingers. Broken bonds carry emotional weight, because relationships are not just about moments shared. They are about the support, understanding, and mutual growth they foster. When someone reflects on the relationship they had with you, they may begin to see the role you played in their life in a new light. Whether it was your empathy, loyalty, or the way you challenged them to be better, the absence of these qualities leaves a void. This void often triggers regret, as they come to terms with how their actions or inactions led to the collapse of something meaningful. Regret over broken bonds can also stem from nostalgia. People tend to romanticize the past, remembering the good times while downplaying the struggles, the shared laughter, the support during hard times, and the unique connection you had become vivid memories that haunt them. They might replay conversations, revisit places you went together, or even compare their current circumstances to the relationship they had with you. In these moments, regret becomes a constant reminder of their mistakes and the consequences of their choices. However, it's important to recognize that regret does not always lead to meaningful change. While some may truly want to make amends and rebuild the connection, others may simply wish to ease their own guilt. They might seek forgiveness or reconciliation, not because they want to heal the relationship, but because they want relief from the discomfort of regret. As Seneca wisely noted, every guilty person is his own hangman. Regret is a punishment in itself, but it doesn't necessarily translate into accountability or growth. Number 8. The ego craving power. At the heart of many human interactions lies the ego, a complex force that craves recognition, control, and dominance. When someone hurts you and later tries to return to your life, their actions may often stem from their ego's relentless desire for power. The ego thrives on the ability to assert itself, and regaining a place in your life can be seen as reclaiming that perceived control. Their return isn't always fueled by genuine remorse or a desire to make amends. It may be a strategic move to feed their ego's craving for validation and influence. The ego views relationships as a stage to exert dominance. When they hurt you, it may have been an attempt to establish control, believing that your reaction would affirm their power over you. However, when you detach and grow stronger in their absence, their ego feels threatened. Your independence challenges their sense of authority and disrupts the narrative they've constructed about their importance in your life. Their return is often an attempt to reassert this dominance, to remind themselves and you of the control they once wielded. This power struggle becomes even more pronounced when they see you thriving without them. The ego cannot bear the thought of being replaced or rendered irrelevant. To them, your success without their involvement is a blow to their self-image. They return not to support your growth, but to reclaim their perceived position of influence over you. Marcus Aurelius emphasized humility and self-awareness, writing, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." Yet, those driven by ego rarely recognize this truth. Their ambition to control others blinds them to the damage they inflict. In relationships, an ego-driven individual often equates power with emotional leverage. They may try to reignite old feelings or manipulate your vulnerabilities to re-establish their hold on you. They might apologize, but their words often lack sincerity. Instead, these apologies are a tool to soften your defenses and reintroduce themselves into your life. The ego is cunning, seeking to regain power by presenting itself as humble or regretful while maintaining its true agenda. The Stoic philosophy teaches us to resist the manipulations of ego, both our own and others. Epictetus reminds us, "Whoever then wishes to be free, let him neither wish for anything nor avoid anything which depends on others." Your freedom lies in recognizing their return for what it truly is, a quest to satisfy their ego's need for power. By staying grounded in your values and maintaining emotional boundaries, you deny their ego the control it craves. Ultimately, the ego's hunger for power is insatiable. Those driven by it may never truly be content, as their validation depends on external factors, control over others, recognition, and dominance. For you, this becomes an opportunity to reaffirm your autonomy and strength. Instead of being drawn into their power games, you can rise above, embracing the Stoic principles of inner peace and self-mastery. In doing so, you demonstrate that your life is no longer a stage for their ego to perform. Number 9. Testing. If you're still available. One of the most common reasons people return after hurting you is to test if you're still available, both emotionally and physically. This behavior often stems from insecurity and uncertainty. They may not be sure if they truly want to rekindle the relationship, but they also don't want to lose access to you completely. Testing your availability allows them to gauge whether they still have a place in your life, and in some cases, whether they can still exert influence over you. When someone reaches out to you after a period of silence or conflict, their initial contact might be subtle: a casual message, a comment on social media, or even accidentally bumping into you. These gestures are often less about genuine connection and more about testing the waters. They want to see if you'll respond, if you'll welcome them back, or if you've moved on. This approach gives them a sense of control. If you respond positively, they feel reassured that the door to your life hasn't been completely shut. In many cases, testing your availability is an act of self-preservation. They may not want to face the reality of being replaced or forgotten. By reaching out, they seek validation that they still matter to you, even if they were the ones who caused the pain. This can be particularly true for people who struggle with abandonment issues or fear of rejection. Your response becomes a measure of their worth and a confirmation that they still have some level of importance in your life. However, this behavior can also be manipulative. By testing your availability, they often avoid taking full accountability for their actions. Instead of offering a sincere apology or acknowledging the hurt they caused, they opt for indirect methods of re-establishing contact. This allows them to sidestep uncomfortable conversations and maintain an illusion of control. They might say things like, "I just wanted to check in," or "I was thinking about you," without addressing the deeper issues at hand. From a Stoic perspective, it's important to approach these situations with clarity and emotional resilience. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Recognizing their true intentions can help you maintain your boundaries and protect your peace of mind. If their return is motivated by insecurity or manipulation, it's crucial not to let their actions disrupt your growth or pull you back into a cycle of pain. Testing your availability is, in essence, an attempt to regain a sense of control over the relationship dynamic. By understanding this, you can choose how to respond, whether that means setting firm boundaries, addressing unresolved issues, or simply not engaging. Your focus should remain on your own growth and well-being. Remember, your worth is not determined by someone else's need to validate themselves through your availability. By staying grounded in your values and priorities, you can navigate these situations with strength and clarity.